Namaskar. I have the distinct privilege and honor of welcoming each and every one of you to the Second World Hindu Congress 2018. Welcome. I would like to extend a warm welcome to honorable dignitaries from far and near. Honorable Sir Sangchalak Mohan Bhagwat ji, Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Suriname, Honorable Ashok Chogle ji, Bollywood icon Anupam Kher, who left, you just saw him, and all of the delegates, welcome. This is the very same city 125 years ago, on the occasion of the Parliament of Religions, Swami Vivekananda, arguably the greatest ambassador of Hinduism to have ever walked on this earth, enthralled the world with a message of peace, tolerance, harmony, and inclusiveness as defining tenets of Hinduism. I proudly echo those themes. The irony is that a century later, in today's climate, that message is all the more relevant. The world yearns for peace, tolerance, and harmony, and we at World Hindu Congress have an opportunity to fill that void. It's indeed humbling for me to be alongside a galaxy of spiritual, social, political, and economic leaders from around the globe assembled for this Congress. They, together with the delegates, will speak, listen, and debate many issues for 3 days. They will touch upon cultural, religious, social, political, educational, and economic issues, and issues about gender and youth. Abhayji mentioned the various conferences that we have touching upon all of these topics. My hope is we will be inspired by the discourse at the Congress, we'll be more knowledgeable as a result of the discussions, and we will have a better appreciation of what's on each other's mind. In the end, I'm confident we'll conclude that the Congress has been a success. But what is success? What propels us to organize the World Hindu Congress? What lasting impact would we like to see, and how can that be realized? In that respect, I have 3 goals in mind for the Congress, and I hope the Congress lays the foundation for a journey towards these goals. The goals are enlighten, reform, and advance. Let me talk about each just a bit. Enlighten. The World Hindu Congress, with thousands of enthusiastic delegates, has an opportunity to create greater awareness about Hinduism, not only among Hindus, but among people of all religions, people of all colors, and people of all nationalities. For millennia, Hinduism has been a beacon to mankind in search of spirituality. Hinduism didn't originate as a religion owing its allegiance to an individual son of God or a prophet. Instead, Hinduism can be traced back in time to have evolved as a way of life through the ages, while continuously embracing a diversity of ideas. A pantheon of mythological figures and religious leaders over the centuries have contributed to creating a mosaic that today we recognize as Hinduism or Hindutva. Where has that evolution led Hinduism to today? In my mind, Hinduism is about life guided by dharma. Dharma educates us to differentiate between conduct that's right and conduct that's wrong. Dharma develops within us a sense of righteousness, morality, and the importance of duty and the imperative of action according to one's ability. Dharma embodies the moral compass that imparts a purpose in life with the ultimate goal of achieving salvation for the soul by renouncing all material temptations and embracing liberation. This spiritual journey is a source of happiness and satisfaction, and ultimately might culminate into salvation to the followers of Hinduism. We as individuals might be at a different stage and might be moving at a different pace in the journey of life that transports us from duty and actions and material possessions to the nirvana state of salvation. But we invariably are drawn to thoughts about spirituality that transcends earthly possessions and physical needs. I believe Hinduism has been at the forefront in nurturing humanity with the spiritual needs. Hinduism has been distinct from other religions in the world in not promoting religious hegemony. Swami Vivekananda ji proudly announced in his address at the Parliament of Religions that he belongs to a religion which has taught both tolerance and universal acceptance. In his concluding remarks, he revisits the idea of tolerance in stating, "Much has been said of the common ground of religious unity. I'm not going just now to venture my own theory, but if anyone here hopes that this unity will come by the triumph of any one of the religions and the destruction of the others, to him I say, brothers, yours is an impossible hope. Do I wish that the Christian would become Hindu? God forbid. Do I wish that the Hindu or Buddhist would become Christian? God forbid." It is evident that Hinduism, as described by Swami Vivekananda ji, distances itself from attempts to coerce others into its fold. Instead, Hindu philosophy exhorts us to be tolerant and inclusive. What do these mean in practice, tolerance and inclusiveness? In the globalized world, we frequently come across those who speak a different mother tongue. Mother tongue is rarely a choice, but it's the result of who his or her parents are and where they reside. When we meet others speaking in a different language, our instincts are to find a translator or learn the language. We do not hold it against them that they communicate in a different language. We accept them in spite of the differences in language. We look at it as an opportunity to benefit from the multilingual experience. This spirit has certainly guided me in my life as I have encountered countless individuals of different religions, cultural, linguistic, and national persuasion. Hinduism's message of spirituality, harmony, tolerance, and inclusiveness is deep, and I have merely scratched the surface. I am hopeful that the World Hindu Congress creates greater awareness and enlightens people of all faiths and nationalities about the noble, inspiring message Hinduism offers. Let me now turn to the second message, reform. Not being beholden to a single ecclesial order of a single religious authority or a single scripture is a virtue. Hinduism accommodates diversity and welcomes evolution of thought. We have indeed witnessed that evolution over the past several thousand years. The fact that Hinduism is not frozen in time but is amenable to change and adaptation is an opportunity for us. And I would like to highlight 3 areas that would benefit from reform. Or 2 areas, let me focus on: role of women and education, in the interest of time. Okay. The role of women in the Hindu society, we would readily acknowledge that women have not fared well. I don't mean to point finger at Hinduism alone. Social political, and economic equality of women is a universal problem, perhaps more acute in some societies than others. A large number of women, Hindu women, are qualified, educated, and talented, but on average, we still observe a socio-economic chasm between men and women. We as a society have not harnessed women's talent fully. Objective metrics like women's labor participation rate, child marriages, literacy rates, or gender-based infanticide all point to a disparity that does not reflect well. Progress must be made. That is, we as a society, neighborhoods, and individual families all must rail against conscious and subconscious attempts to subvert women. Same is true about education. The Hindu diaspora outside of India is highly educated. Our youth is envy of all, especially in spelling bees. Okay. Contrast this with the educational level of the whole population of Hindus in India, and in fact the entire population of South Asia. Once again, emphasis on education must come from within. We, the privileged, must take it upon ourselves to work toward narrowing the gap between the educated and the uneducated. My final message is advance. An inescapable conclusion from history is that the journey towards spiritual attainment, social reform, and political freedom traverses through economic advancement. Economic independence, for example, will empower women. Economic progress will narrow social and economic differences across castes. Economic progress will stimulate greater interest in education. Economic progress hinges on a foundation built on meritocracy, rule of law, and ease of engaging in commerce. Hindus all over the world can play a pivotal role in this respect. World Hindu Congress as an organization and Hindus as individuals and a society must foster cooperation between those with ideas and those with resources. This will nurture entrepreneurship and creativity. I want to end with just two remarks. I'm sorry, I know I'm slightly over time, but give me just a minute or two. For the last few months, I have spent an enormous amount of time as chair of the World Hindu Congress. I want to tell you about a particular experience. As the preparations for the World Hindu Congress got underway and the event received attention in media worldwide, I and many speakers at the conference received petitions from organizations and individuals asking us to withdraw from the World Hindu Congress. The rationale that they offered for the petition is that the World Hindu Congress itself, or some of the organizers of the World Hindu Congress, support a socially and religiously divisive agenda. I categorically reject their supposition. I urge them to listen to my talk and reflect whether it is tainted with hate. I have chosen to disregard those petitions as originating from a lack of complete understanding of the World Hindu Congress. I hope my message of tolerance and inclusiveness toward people of all religions, nationalities, and colors wins over their hearts, and they would reconsider their view of the World Hindu Congress. I also maintain that while I do not believe in religious hegemony, I am not fearful or ashamed of voicing my message of enlightening the world about Hinduism, underscoring the need for reform, and seeking avenues of economic advancement, all in the interest of a just society comprising people of all faiths and persuasion. On a final note, as chair of the Congress, I want you to know that an event of this scale and scope does not materialize out of thin air. An army of organizers has worked tirelessly without any expectation of monetary reward. Their passion for Hinduism and what it stands for, and their desire to make a difference have been their motivation and reward. We all owe a debt of gratitude to the organizers. Thank you. As I mentioned at the outset, a galaxy of speakers will stimulate you over the next 3 days. I had an excess supply of highly qualified speakers. It wasn't easy to choose from the pool of high-quality speakers. I'm most grateful to the ones selected and those who offered to speak for their thoughts and their efforts. Thank you. In my earlier remarks, I made a reference to economics as a crucial means of progress. World Hindu Congress could not have been possible without the generosity of a large number of individual, corporate, and institutional sponsors. I am indebted to each and every one of them for their moral and financial support. I welcome you all to the Congress. Thank you.